Good evening. It's Brother Gerald, YouTube philosopher. And today is Labor Day, someday in September 2016, that Monday, which is called Labor Day. And I'm here at home and I'm having some discussions with some people just about women and this notion of the double standard. And I would say there is no such thing as a double standard in regards to men and women. And I would say this on the basis of a double standard only applies to things that are alike. And you treat these two things that are alike differently. For example, a black man may be treated differently on the basis of being black in opposition to a white man. And the clearest example that I can give is how we are treated in the court system. I can show you several videos, and I can even do FBI statistics where it's just shown that more crimes are committed by white men, and the severity of these crimes are kind of high, yet we see that the penalties that white men pay in contrast to what black men pay is very striking. So when a woman approaches and tells me, well, men can go out and sleep around and, he's going to be unaffected by being this promiscuous man. But if a woman does this, she's considered a whore. And I just say that we're trying to compare a man to a woman, and there's really no comparing the two. Now, there's similarities to men, but like I've always said, the distinctions make all the difference. For example, a woman has a period every month until she hits menopause. She endures menopause. And every 28 days she goes through this menstrual cycle where she's bleeding, and as much as I would love to have that experience, as much as I would for a moment to want to experience that, to have an understanding of what a woman goes through from month to month, I can't. So we're not alike. And because we're not the same, it's at a point of that distinction eliminating this idea of a double standard. Because what I'm going to say to you women is, if you really think about it, for a man to go out and have sex with all of these women, who is he having sex with? He's having sex with women. He's not, this ain't no, man hits puberty and now he's just going to be busting booties with other men. He's going out and just faggot. He going to be a faggot for the rest. To me, it's ridiculous. So for the man to be out there, he's got to find some willing participants, and a lot of you women will say victims. You guys are willing victims or victims. But the long and the short of it is, the man is only as promiscuous as the women will allow him to be. And obviously we see in our society, there are plenty of women that are willing to go out here and do with the man. So I don't see any double standard. The only double standard is you guys, I guess, want to be the aggressor. You want to be aggressive in pursuing this promiscuous lifestyle, but it's just by the very nature of you being a woman, it's not really going to be a worthwhile endeavor. And let's take a look more closely at some of the differences between men and women. Now, men we tend to improve as the years go by in our knowledge and wisdom. And women, as men grow older, find this wisdom as well as the growing success of the man to be very attractive, and so attractive that you find many men of older age still having the ability to interact and even marry and start families with younger women. But on the flip side of this, we don't see that happening so much so because men are motivated by the physical beauty of a woman to be drawn to her and to like her. So as a woman grows older, her value in terms of her physical beauty diminishes over time. And even if she were to go back to school and garner a great education and even increase her money making abilities, her stock in terms of being appealing to men will never be comparable to that of a woman. Let's just say you have a woman who's 45. Her stock in relationship to being attractive to a man is going to be diminished in contrast to a man seeing a woman that's 25 years old. So, in trying to make this comparison of men and women, I think the wise man as well as the wise woman would appreciate these differences, appreciate the thinking of men, and stop trying to go around or try to circumvent what to me is biologically and manifestly obvious. And this also applies to the confusion of the sexes, where just because somebody has a feeling of attractiveness to someone of the same sex does not necessarily, in fact, I would say that it's manifestly obvious that this is something that really is not going to work. And we find in trying to make it work, we do so many other bizarre things that to me, if you're willing to go through these extremes, wouldn't it just be easier to eliminate and be like water? Take the path of least resistance. Like for two men that are gay, they love each other, they go through the ceremony of, quote, having this legal government sanctioned marital style arrangement. I'm not even going to even say it's a marriage, but it's a union. They're going to make it a union, and it's sanctioned by the government. Now, they knew going in that they weren't going to be able to bear any fruit in having children. But now here it is, what they're going to do is, well, we can adopt. Okay, that's a reasonable thing, but you're going to adopt and involve a child that biologically isn't yours and force them to observe and to be indoctrinated into a family relationship that biologically goes against the very means by which these two people had to come into this world. So they're living in a relationship that is foundation has none. But now you're going into this next step of trying to copy that which your relationship has no foundational basis to even try to imitate. So I'm going to ask the lesbian and the gay man to just think for a minute and try not to get emotionally hostile to what I'm saying and to just really think about this thing. You want to have love and you want to have relationship. But is this love that you're going to have, is it going to be something of real value that, one, you would wish to involve a child in, and two, are you going to either, is this going to be a beneficial thing for the child to experience, or is this going to be harmful? I would say it's going to be harmful because they're going to start asking questions that the gay couple will not really have an answer to. Now, let's just say you don't want to adopt. Well, we're going to have our own child. Okay, so you're going to find a surrogate mother, and one of the parents in this gay relationship will not have any biological connection to that child. So here we are involving a third party, which is going to create another family to some degree, but you're going to legally deny the aspect of the woman being the surrogate mother, making this child, bringing this child into existence, and cut her off from any familial connection to the child. So I see all of this confusion and all of these extra, what I would say, unnecessary steps in trying to achieve something that is manifestly obvious and easier to do if you just go ahead and deal directly with what biology has made manifestly obvious. But the reason why we go the route that we go is because we're really trying to deny something that is true, that we were created by something, and that something we all know is God. We know it's God because on a philosophical basis, we know the philosophers as well as the scientists. They've heard of this term called ex nihilo nihil fit, and it's German, and it means out of nothing, nothing comes. So we know that if there was ever a time there was absolutely nothing, what would we have today? We would have nothing, and my making this video would not even be possible. So we know that from the beginning there was something, and for us to ponder this idea of something really can frustrate us because we don't have the capacity to imagine those things because our experiences always involve things. So getting back to the focus of my story is that we need to really get back and become really aware that the double standard is not really an issue of concern. We need to be more consistent in acknowledging things that are manifestly obvious. And in so doing, we'll be able to think clearly, and get a blessing, because the God of this universe, when he created all things, when he created the animals, he created them and he blessed them. He told them to be fruitful and multiply. And then we see later on he creates man and he creates woman, and he not only blesses them, but he gives them dominion and over everything that is on this earth. So it's at a point that we see that the Creator made us, and he created this thing called the blessing game. And so I'm just here to remind all mankind that would be willing to sit through this video to understand that we were put on this earth to be blessed. We weren't put on this earth to suffer and die, even though we do suffer and die. But the ultimate purpose was for us to receive blessings by doing that which God purposed us to do. And the only reason why these terrible things came into the game was because we refused to do those things. And now we are paying the price. We don't necessarily want to pay it, but God has promised us that the soul that's in it shall perish, But he took responsibility to say, hey, I'm going to give you guys a way out of this terrible path that you chose to take. And there's only one way to do it, and that's to acknowledge the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. We'll talk more about that one as the time goes forward. Peace to you all.